Hello and welcome to the France 24 interview. Our guest today is Lazarus Chakwera. He's the president of Malawi. He's also currently chairing the Southern African Development Community known as SADC, and he joins us from Dubai. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
You're welcome.
I want to begin with the military coup unfolding as we speak in Sudan. What is your reaction?
It's very unfortunate that such events are occurring as we speak, and even though there's been coup attempts across the world, this African incident is not welcome at all, because it's not the manner in which Africans deal with issues when there's disagreements. And it seems to me that definitely some part has not agreed or acted according to the agreement set by the parties concerned. The African way is always dialogue, it's always contact, it's always to sit down and find solutions. My own case in Malawi is an example, where we had a disputed election. The institutions were able to work this out because the law provided for such. And so democracy is getting consolidated on the continent despite these type of erratic events. And the African Union condemns such, and SADC does not approve any of such. And so we want to be a continent that is able to deal with their own issues and democratize wherever that is necessary in order for us to act African. The term itself, coup d'etat, seems like it is an importation. So these type of behaviors are an importation. That's not the African way. Malawi, Zambia, they are examples of what democracy is about.
Right, but Mr. President, let's take the example of Mali, let's take the example of Guinea before Sudan. It seems that the coup d'etat are back in fashion in Africa, at least in some areas of Africa. Is democracy in danger?
Oh, you're right, in some parts of Africa, and we do not want to tolerate this as if it is the best way of handling issues, and that's why African Union is busy handling such. And like I said, there could be an example of that which is happening all over the world. Except for North America, everywhere there's been coup attempts. And even in North America itself, events in January seem to show that these are human characteristics of people that do not want to follow democratic principles.
Right. I want to turn to the issue of the COP26 in Glasgow. The mood is not very optimistic. Are you optimistic?
You know, hope is what makes humanity go forward. And so I am optimistic about COP26. There has indeed been reason for being pessimistic. People that have spoken about this, whether at the UN or in other conferences, seem not to have any hope that this will be more than just another talk show. What I'm looking at is really something that needs to challenge all of us as humanity. Do we live up to our word? Do we act on the promises and the pledges that we make? Are we serious enough about caring one for another, so that even the global south can have hope that we will not be at the receiving end of what has happened over 200 years of development by the global north, which has pretty much brought us to where we are at this stage. And so we want to look at these things fairly well.
Right. Your country is a landlocked country. It's heavily dependent on agriculture. Here in the West, you know, climate change is a topic of debate. How real is it for you and your fellow countrymen? Is it really a question of life and death?
It is a question of life and death for Malawi. Malawi is a land-linked country, but talk about Cyclone Idai, for example, a year and a half ago, and one will realize that these things are real. We had people dying. We had crops destroyed. We had housing destroyed. And so these are real matters when we talk about climate change issues in terms of erratic rainfall as well as droughts and flooding.
Right. Mr. President, obviously there's also the issue of the pandemic. There have been accusations. The South African President Cyril Ramaphosa talks about vaccine apartheid and urges the Western world to share the vaccines it has in excess. Is this also your point of view, and are you hoping that indeed things will change very quickly?
I totally agree with President Ramaphosa when he terms this vaccine apartheid. You know, in terms of accessibility, in terms of productions, and even in terms of upholding human dignity for those of us who have been vaccinated and then being treated by countries, certain countries, as if we have not even been vaccinated, and it's the same vaccines that they have had. And so we want equal access, and we want Africans to be able to produce vaccines for Africans, and we want to be treated just like everybody else so that there is a mutual trust even when we handle such things.
Right. Are you hoping that there will be a breakthrough? The talks at the World Trade Organization on this very issue have been deadlocked, especially because some European countries and obviously the manufacturers of the vaccines are opposed to allowing better access or even free access to the patents for those vaccines.
What I'm telling you is that this is a worldwide pandemic. What would it profit any organization or any pharmaceutical company if they have millions and millions of vaccines while people are dying? And is that the way that humanity needs to treat each other? So this is certainly something that needs to be discussed openly, even at the World Trade Organization, because ethics alone would demand that if one country or certain parts of the world are not safe, then nobody else is safe.
Right. Mr. President, I'd like to wear, for you to wear your SADC hat. In Eswatini, a country formerly known as Swaziland, we've seen tensions rising in recent weeks as the absolute rule of King Mswati III is being contested. There's an offer of national dialogue. The opposition will have none of it. Are you concerned that this could turn even more violent in this small country?
Yes, as leader of SADC and in all the SADC region, we are concerned and closely monitoring what is happening in Eswatini. And we do have an organ in SADC, which has to do with politics, peace, and security. And this is being led by South Africa as we speak. And so there's been overtures in order for us to reach an understanding. And democratic aspirations of a people must be respected, and we want to be sure that the processes, however, are processes that everyone has buy-in, because in the end, you do not want to lose lives for the sake of some principle that one adheres to, even though sacrifice and collateral damage sometimes does take place. We want a peaceful transition and a recognition by all parties, including the king himself, that we must respect the wishes of the people.
Right. The last issue I want to talk about is Mozambique. SADC sent a military mission over there. It was supposed to be a 3-month mission ending on October the 15th. I understand this has been extended. Rwanda has also sent troops there to fight jihadists who took control of an oil-rich area. Is this an open-ended military mission? I mean, it's always a bit worrying, I guess, when you start saying we're sending troops with no end in sight.
Yes, you're right, but SADC is responding as a region, and we are very concerned. We had to extend this mandate because we want to make sure that policing issues take place, and there has been a decisive response. SADC, like I said, sent in the team And we are very confident that this solution is being handled right. And those that have come to help, Rwanda, for example, they have not come to replace or be substitute for what SADC itself or Mozambique itself is doing. They have come to supplement what the rest of the region is doing, and we are confident that this thing will be handled. I'm particularly concerned because Mozambique is our neighbor, and
right.
so I am also that concerned, even as SADC chair, yes.
Yes, but are you confident that jihadists will be wiped out from this area, or are you concerned that this could fester and remain a threat for your country and the region for a long while?
I am very confident this has been dealt with even as we speak. As much as we cannot say too much about military operations, I want you to know that we are confident this is being handled well.
President Lazarus Chakwera, I want to thank you very much for granting France 24 this interview from Dubai, and thank you all for watching it.